And we closed the third season with this one. Every year our season is from January to November. We take an off month in December. So for this season, this is the last edition. And it's wonderful to have Kaveri and Vidyut with us for today's edition. Before I go to them and introduce them, let me talk a little bit about the program itself and how it has evolved. The gentleman there, Ram, and his wife, his wife wanted to know what the program was all about. I'm sure many of you know about it, but I'll still talk a little bit about the program. The Bliss Catchers is a monthly series that celebrates life. Here we get together to talk to people who have had the courage, conviction to go do what they love doing, what they believe in doing. And every month we celebrate Joseph Campbell's philosophy. Joseph Campbell, the American author and mythologist, we celebrate his philosophy. He was the one who said, "Follow your bliss and doors will open where only walls existed." Vani and I personally believe in that philosophy. We have been going through a very difficult time in the past decade, but we have found immense joy, complete happiness in following what we truly believe in. So this program is a way of us sharing what we have learned through our own cathartic experience, our bankruptcy. I've even written a book about it. It's called Fall Like a Rose Petal. It's over there, where I share lessons from life on how we have learned to live a life of happiness, which is non-worrying, non-frustrated, non-suffering, living the life that's available to us without protesting. So we talk about that in the book, and that phase in my life when I actually came out and put out the book helped me find a completely new meaning to life. Otherwise, when you have nothing with you, you can go and get into a dark spot of depression, frustration, anger, grief, guilt, and all of that. And we overcame all of that by finding meaning. When we found that we could be useful without exactly trying to be successful, we came out and started curating these free programs. The Bliss Catcher series is one of those. In fact, it is our longest running series. We do 3 other programs across Chennai. And this program, the Bliss Catchers, cannot be possible without the help of the team at Odyssey. I'm missing my dear friend Ashwin, who runs Odyssey here. I'm missing him, but if he were here, I'd like to thank him and his entire team for helping us put this together month on month, year on year, for the 3rd season running. So that's the story of the Bliss Catchers. Somebody who read my book and who's attended the Bliss Catcher program in the past wrote me an email 2 days ago. And he said, "Why is it that we miss this opportunity for the longest part of our lives? This opportunity to go do what we believe in doing. Why do we miss it for the longest part?" And there is a simple answer to it. I think all of us are stuck in this conditioned trap called earning a living. And although we believe in something else, we love doing something else, but we believe more in having to survive, in having to pay our bills, and therefore we get stuck in this earning a living routine. One way of breaking free of this routine is to understand that life is a limited period offer. There is only one life that we have, and whatever we have to do in this one lifetime. Let's imagine you are going to a chemist and you're picking up a strip of crocin. Okay, how will you conclude whether that strip of crocin is valid for consumption or not? How will you find that out?
Expired.
The expiry date. And where is the expiry date normally? On the back side. Very similarly, all of us have our expiry date somewhere on our backsides. Except that we don't have the barcode reader with which to read it. So we know only our date of birth. We don't know the date we will expire. If we knew the date we expired, we will all not be in this earning a living trap. We'll actually be running faster to live and live more wholesome lives. So the Bliss Catchers, it's a place where people come to pause and reflect and share in the joy of hearing conversations that are inspiring. And today's conversation, ladies and gentlemen, is with two very inspiring people, my personal favorites, Kaveri Bharat and Vidyut Srinivasan. So give them a big hand. I will now quickly introduce them. Kaveri and we got to know each other earlier this year. I read about her first in the Hindu. There was a nice article earlier in March, and through a common friend, Kirti Jayakumar, who's also a Bliss Catcher in her own right. She's been on our show. We reached out to, Vani and I reached out to Kaveri and met her and found her story very, very, very interesting. So she started off in 1995. It's been 22 years that she's been in the space of pottery. She's a potter and a teacher. She's learned from, in the initial stages, from Hans, her husband. Where's Hans? Yeah, there he is, quietly sitting away there in the corner, very quietly. So she started with Hans, learning from him, and then she learned from Padma Rajagopal in Mysore, and then Ray Meeker in Pondicherry. And she's not only used to doing, or she's not only good with the traditional form of pottery, as in the wheel-thrown form of pottery, but she's also as good with wood-fired kilns, right? Working on wood-fired kilns. And she's even set up India's first crowd-funded and India's first wood-fired soda kiln. Did I get it right?
There is another soda kiln, but it's the first crowd-funded.
It's the first crowd-funded one. Okay, so that she did in 2014. For her, pottery is immersion. She believes that there is a science to it and there is an art to it, which together creates magic for her, and she calls it intimate art, the art of working with her hands. And she believes that what she wants to be doing for the rest of her life is to propagate this art both to seekers and to people who have a passing interest. So that's Kaveri for you. And we have Vidyut here, who Vidyut and I go back a long way. Vidyut, Vani and I go back a long way. When he was just out of college and he was this smashing theatre artist, he was a rock star on the little theatre shows. I remember some of his amazing performances, and we were cheering him lustily in the audience many, many seasons. You might not be aware, but some of the visits were from us. Okay? We saw some of your shows more than once, twice. And then I made the, what shall I say? I took a very, very courageous step to invite him to join my team. And I didn't know that he had other thoughts. I thought I could entice him into the corporate world. And I said, we ran a company which later went bankrupt, and that's the story of our life. But when we were doing very great at that time, we had one line of our business was about running fun at work programs and being the complete entertainer that Vidyut is. We felt that he could actually lead that vertical for us. And so I made him an offer which he declined. I later realized that he had strong reasons to decline that. And in a way, it's good you didn't join because the company anyway went bankrupt. But he stayed on with what he believed in. He tried his hand at advertising. So he's got an economics background, an advertising background. He's done theatre for the longest time in his life. He's acted in Anjali. Can you believe it? He's acted in Mani Ratnam's Anjali, and he's acted with Kamal Haasan in Vishwarupam. So that makes him like the grand old man of cinema, right? Because if you acted in Anjali and acted in Vishwarupam, that's like a long, long time, right? But that's Vidyut for you. He loves running, and he does a lot of, believes in yoga. He's a qualified yoga practitioner. But then today, we're going to talk to him about his love, his bliss, which he finds in textile designing. Though he told me that whatever he's doing with his brand Chani right now, and you find these amazing saris over here on display. You can take a look at them at the end of the show. Chani.in is his website. So what he's saying is that I'm finding only 10% of my creative potential being exploited by whatever I'm doing. So I'm keen to understand what is the remaining 90% of Vidyut likely to be doing. Okay, and that's a question that I'm asking Vidyut as we go along. We also have Kaveri's works on display over here. Please do take a look at the end of the show. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome my two wonderful guests for the evening, Kaveri and Vidyut. Okay, are you all set? You guys need to take your mics in your hand, turn them on. You know, am I in the...
Yes, sir.
Am I sitting right?
Correct, sir.
Okay, so how's it feeling being here?
I'm a little nervous.
No, you were nervous?
Back on stage.
And interestingly, another bit of trivia. So, everything great happens at the Bliss Catchers. Last time we had Raghavan Manian inaugurating a saxophone here, a gleaming new saxophone here, and we had drums Murli playing on a hung drum here. It happened for the first time at the Bliss Catchers, and now what's happening for the first time at Bliss Catchers again is that Kaveri and Vidyut are on stage together again. After what, 2 decades?
Yeah, 1985.
1995?
Yeah.
It was 95.
Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
Okay, so after, that was it a little theatre production?
Yes.
So the last they were seen together on stage was, this is almost turning out like Kajol and Shah Rukh Khan. I'm making it sound like that. Okay? So the last they were seen on stage was 1995. So thank you for joining us.
Movies can be Amitabh, but we were favorite and Ram only.
It can be also, yeah, with Bhagwan, yeah. Okay, so let's get started with the conversation. Let me, what is this noise that we hear? Demo, puli vanda madri, Bliss catching puli vanda. Okay, okay. So my first question, let me start with. So the way we structure this conversation is, we have a little conversation between us, which goes on till about 8:05, and then I will open the floor for questions. Midway through this conversation, we will have quiz questions. We will be asking you a question about the guests, and if you answer them, you get these beautiful mugs. These beautiful mugs that make your morning cup of coffee extra special. So there's a lot of mugs to take away tonight, so please stay on and enjoy the conversation. So let's get started. Kaveri, let me ask you, were you always a very art kind of person? Was your grooming at home when you were a child? Were you always inclined to the arts? And we'll come to the pottery part of it a little later. But since you have a theatre background as well, so I wanted to know how your early life was.
Well, I don't think it was a conscious push towards the arts or towards science or anything, but it's, I suppose, to do with the family that I come from, that everybody just pursues what naturally comes to them. And I have parents who are architects, many aunts and uncles are architects, I have cousins who are architects. There's a reason I'm not an architect. So, but also I have a grandfather who was a professor of engineering, but he had a sculpture studio at home. So that influenced me. He used to sit with clay dug out from our garden and make sculptures, and I'll go there and sit with him, and I'll try to do something and it'll come out like nothing on earth. And I'll say, but he'll say, so it was a lot of encouragement. But yes, working with my hands and creating things was something that I was always inclined to. I'm always a little sad that I didn't show the serious interest in the arts while he was still alive. He would have been very thrilled about it. But 9th standard, an optional subject, the school didn't have art, but the ICC syllabus did. So there was a bunch of 5 of us who went up to the principal and said, it's there in the syllabus, we want to take it. So one term we taught ourselves, and then he realized we were serious enough and got us a teacher, and that was the beginning of the art department in Sisha.
Okay.
So 5 of us.
So you actually went and petitioned to your school principal.
Yeah.
To
He was a
introduce
very
art and-
easygoing principal. He was one easy to petition. I mean, getting sent to the principal's office that time, he used to forget that we were probably had done something wrong, which is why we were sent there. And he'd say, "Oh, you're just in time for a cup of tea." So the teachers caught on pretty early that it was no point.
So what
sending
kind
us
of
there.
art was it at school at that time? I mean, did you do painting? Did you do
Sketches, lots
Sketches.
of sketching, some amount of watercolors. Then we spoke to the art teacher and she said, well, we could start oils, but we need to. So we pulled in and got the oil paints and the brushes and started that. Then there was some amount of tie and dye and batik printing and stuff that we started doing. So it was all that particular year, since we were like pioneers, we were sort of looking up the board syllabus book and saying, oh, so we can do this too. Oh, we can do that. And the art teacher was, Laura Mukundan, was fantastic about that. And she came along with us on all these adventures. It took us almost a year to get an art room. So we were functioning under the trees and all the equipment we carried to school and carried back home. That's the only way it worked. But
what kind of influences were there at home? Normally at that age, typically 9th, 10th, 12th, going through to 12th, there's a lot of pressure to focus on academics. You know, did you have to face that kind of pressure
no.
at all?
I might have fared better in my academics, but I don't know if I would have done what I've done. But I didn't have that kind of pressure. It's a strange family that we have, luckily. My family has been completely supportive, and I'm glad to see my mother here. And unfortunately, I mean, I would have loved to have had my father here as well. But they have been completely supportive of me, always. And well, I think being architects and my sister going completely into economics and things like that, my father in some level was a little happy that someone was working with their hands. So my love for art and me wanting to do it was something that was a source of joy for them. And they didn't pressure me saying, public exam buddy. But in fact, my sister received the reverse treatment, which used to get up at 4 a.m. to study, and my father would get up and say, "You parwala fail I go back to sleep." That's the kind of thing.
That makes your parents very unique.
Very
unique. That's very interesting, right? So, were you the Padip's type, or were you the arty, dreamy type?
Dreamt a lot. I used to have invigilators coming in telling me, please write, stop dreaming. So yes, I wasn't someone who liked sitting in an exam hall. I wasn't someone who liked this limited time frame and have to write, and these questions which they anyway asked us in class. They know I know it. Why are they asking me all over again? Why do I have to write it here? That was my logic. I mean, if everything could have been done orally, I would have probably fared much better. This time-bound written exam format was something I simply didn't fit into. And it's one of the reasons I don't interfere with my children when it comes to their exam studying at all, because they've got the system far better than I ever did. So,
talk a little bit about, I heard you say in the first question that I asked you, I heard you say that in your grandfather's studio, you had an opportunity to work with your hands. And you must have been very young at that time.
yes. He passed away when I was 12. So.
Okay, so you, when was your, do you recall your first experience of working with your hands and clay? And
No.
do you have any idea when it actually became a source of inspired passion for you?
I don't think there was anything clear cut like that. Always mucked around in dirt. And I loved creating things. I liked painting. I liked making shapes and making, you know, even with marzipan dough. And I think I knew I would eventually do something with my hands, but this fact that, oh, like a eureka moment, I don't think it ever happened. It's just a natural progress.
Okay. But at what point in your life do you actually begin to get serious about pottery? Did you finish school and then get into college and do something in college?
No, I didn't do college.
Oh, you didn't do college?
I didn't do college at all.
That's interesting.
It's not that I didn't want to, but I didn't want to do college for the sake of a degree. So there were...
Again, your parents didn't have a problem?
Yeah, I don't know how. It's a question I often wonder. They didn't have a problem with that, and they understood that the academic setup was not for me. And yes, there was the College of Arts here, and the Shantini Ketan and MSU in Baroda. These were the only three I was willing to apply to. And for various reasons, I wasn't allowed to even apply in Baroda, and I was told there was no Tamil Nadu quota in Shantini Ketan, and reservation did me in here, and I didn't want to apply anywhere else. And I said,
so what did you do in that time when we were all in college? What were you doing?
Little theatre actually was just taking off, and I used to go as a resource assistant to various people, which is when I met Hans.
Okay.
I met Hans at a friend's play, and then met him again at Little Theatre when they were starting off the workshops. This was 92, 93, and I used to help out at the workshops and help the resource people. So working with various people, artists who used to come to do the workshops and learning what they were doing in order to help the kids in the workshop learn it. I got to apprentice more or less under various people and various media, and that's when it clicked that out of all the different art forms, clay was the one which had the maximum pull.
And so you dabbled more in that.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. This is more a salute to Kaveri's parents, and to parents like that, and to parents like me and Vani. So I'll brag a little bit about us, who are easy liberal parents who say, "Parvala ni padikkalanalu parvala, I think we need to let the children be, and that's a very important point I'm picking up over here. Not that I mean to point to anybody in the audience, but I think everywhere around us we do see a lot of pressure on children to perform academically just because there is a board, just because there is a social expectation that you should have got this kind of grades which will help you qualify to get a job of this kind and so on. And I think this is a very, very courageous thing to have done.
Yeah, but that said, I would like to say that there are certain professions you do need that. There is a certain kind of a person who does fit into that mold, who need those marks in order to go ahead. It's just the path that I picked did not need it.
Right.
So it was according to the relevance of it.
The relevance is very important. I think Kaveri's point is very correct. If a child has a deep passion in an unrecognized or uncelebrated field, we should let them go, because they may be the people who create the path, who make the passage possible for generations to follow later on. So I think that's a very valid point. The relevance is very important. Obviously, if you have an inclination in science and you want to be a scientist, an engineer, a doctor, whatever, then you do need that academic trust. But even in the arts, when you were learning, how did your education in arts eventually evolve? So you were doing little theatre on one side.
Yeah, so I was helping Hans with clay work, and I wanted to learn more. So we got some clay home, and he used to come there because as a friend he used to drop in often. He taught me sculpting, some amount of it, like put a capsicum there, cut it open and say reproduce the same thing in clay. That kind of a thing. So you just make the same kind of model. Then together we built a little kiln in our backyard, in my parents' backyard right there, and then we did a wood firing, which now in retrospect I realize was far too long for that size of a kiln. But that was my first firing. It was most exciting. Even the little theatre workshops, we built a small little kiln there and fired it. And so sitting up all night and putting in firewood, and once you've done wood firing, I mean really there is no other kind of firing that you ever want to do. There are lots of potters who work, in a city there are restrictions, so you work with LPG, gas-fired kilns, you work electric kilns. People keep saying electric kiln, you set it all and you put the switch on, and I said, where's the fun in that? Really. And I need a burning fuel, and if you see my pots, there's no it's not absolutely consistent like you would have all your industrial pots and stuff like that. There's a magic to fire, and the fire helps make your pot. So it's part of the artist.
We'll come to that. I'm very keen to understand how the journey evolved. So we'll come back to your journey in a little bit. Let's go to Vidyut and ask my opening question to Vidyut. After economics, which I think you must have taken in, did you take economics more out of interest or just to get through college? That's question, part A of the question. And part B is, there was theatre all along for you. You were you were a rock star in theatre. What prompted you to move towards advertising? Okay, so it's a bundle of
very simple answers. I took actually maths, physics, chemistry and computer science in school, and I was very happy I passed the board exam. No one was more surprised than my mom, who was sitting right there. My reservation worked against her, it worked for me. Vivekananda College was the only college. I did not apply for economics at all, I applied for BSc, right, but I didn't have the cutoff mark. I scored 67% in my board exam. So the principal said at the time, there is economics, there is one seat in economics, if you want to take it, you take it. I said, yeah. I was quite confident I wouldn't get admission anywhere else, so I took what was offered to me.
So that was a regular 3-year program?
Yeah, a regular 3-year program.
Okay.
And it was in a boys' college. I wanted to meet girls, so I did little theatre. So Anil Srinivasan, who was my classmate, he said, you can meet girls, come, you should do this little theatre performance, The Little Mermaid. So that's how I got into theatre.
Okay.
And then I needed a job after getting into advertising. I met some friends at the pantomime who were in advertising, who said, why don't you apply? So I joined us.
So it's pretty much whether it was your college or the little theatre or whether it was advertising, you just went with the flow.
Yeah.
You just went with the flow. So there wasn't any design to it.
In retrospect, it seems like things have fallen into place.
Around the time when we were discussing the opportunity of you joining Mani and me in our firm, you were doing a lot of theatre, and I remember that to me you were a completely creative person. Okay? So advertising just seemed absolutely right for you.
Actually, no, I was in client servicing in advertising.
Oh,
I was
you were?
frustrated.
Okay, so talk a little bit about that.
So Indu was creative director at JLTV. So I was a very frustrated client servicing guy. I saw a lot
How
of
come
people.
you ended up in client servicing? You should have been a copywriter on the creative side.
Like I said, I got a job in advertising. My friends said, you're very enthusiastic, you're willing to run around a lot, you'll be good for servicing. So I applied to take a
So what happened? How many years were you in advertising?
98 to 2004.
6 years.
Yeah.
And you worked with the same company, with Ogilvy?
No, Ogilvy moved to JWT. In between, just before the .com bust, I joined one .com. It went bust. And I came back to advertising.
So that's your journey in advertising.
Yeah.
How was that feeling doing client servicing when you were actually within you? There must have been a lot of expression waiting to explode, right? when you were in that space, and a person like you who's always full of energy, at least that's the way you were. I'm sure you still are that way. But how was that time when you were doing client servicing? Did you have anxious moments in terms of where your career was going?
Acidity, heartburn. That was my state every day. So Gelusil and Eno were always there in my house.
You're serious or you're kidding?
I'm not kidding.
So you were a very frustrated client servicing executive.
Yes, absolutely.
So what happened? What happened in your life that made you? Was there an eureka moment? Like she says, there wasn't a eureka moment for her, but for you, was there a eureka moment when you said, "Hey, this is not what I want to do with my life"? And did you have clarity in what you want to do, or did you have complete clarity on what you didn't want to do?
So I read this book called The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. So I started reading it, and I finished that book in one day, and I didn't go to work that day. The next day I went in and I told my boss Jayarat that I didn't want to continue working anymore. All I was clear about was that I did not want to be in client servicing in advertising.
You were clear about that.
I was clear.
What was Jayarat's reaction when you told him?
I think he'd already made plans and hired somebody else already. He would have fired me if I had not quit. So he was quite happy he didn't have to do it.
Why did you think that you didn't particularly do well in your role as a client service?
Well, I was quite miserable. was literally in the backwaters of advertising. I was handling Barryware potties and wash basins and Venus water heaters. So I was quite miserable, and it showed in my work.
I think he's making it very light, but I'm sure when he says that I was quite miserable, we have to take him seriously there, because when you're not enjoying what you're doing, you're probably just going in and going through the motions. So if Jairaj seriously was ready to fire you, let's assume he was ready to fire you, then you surely must have been pretty bad with your work.
I was. See,
can you talk a little bit about those times? I mean, before you read The Alchemist, can you talk a little bit about that phase in your life? How was it going to work? How was it?
JWT was a great place to work. Okay, it was fun. Okay, I had the team that was there when I was there were just fantastic. So, well, a lot of the fun was alcohol induced as well. So Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. Actually, Thursdays would mostly be in a haze of alcohol. But the team was great. Going to work, meeting those people, spending 12, 15 hours a day with them was a lot of fun. The miserable part was the work itself, which is dealing with clients. And of course, I always felt that I was creative, and I felt I was more creative than the creative people I was working with.
Did you not try at all to present your creative side to your organization?
I tried to make my briefs very creative, but they didn't go down well.
Okay.
Really?
That's good.
Okay. So what happened that you read Paulo Coelho's Alchemist and you quit, but you say that you did not have a clear idea of what you wanted to do. What was running in your mind? Were you married at that time? Was there any pressure from for you to earn a salary to support the family? How did you take that courageous step to quit without knowing what you were going to do next?
So I didn't have it. I wasn't seeing anybody. I wasn't planning on getting married at all. No, my mom was running this block printing unit from our house. So she was making money, and I was living off her for a long time. So I didn't have any money pressure or any pressure to get married or anything. So I just thought I should.
Was it easier? Was it easier because you had your mom to support you to take that decision?
No, I don't know. Like I said, I didn't put much thought into it. I just decided that after reading the book that this is not what I wanted to do in my life. And I thought I should take some time off, figure out what I want to do in my life. I had to make a decision. I spent.
But you seem to have made a decision like that. When you read the book, you go and resign the next day. Is that how it happened, or did you think through it?
No, I didn't think through it. So I quit and then figure out what I want to do later.
So how does the journey evolve from there? So after you quit, and after you, let's say, your mom begins to support you and you are now care of mom, what happens in your life after that?
So I took time off and I spent about 3 months in an organic farm in Auroville, called Buddha Garden.
Okay.
So there I spent a lot of time doing nothing, reading a lot of books. I thought maybe I should start an organic farm myself, but I was 26. And I said, this is possibly after I'm 65, when I'm possibly 70, I can get tied to a piece of land. But I wanted to see the world, explore my own abilities. Again, I was just confident that I was always told that I have a lot of potential, and but I had to commit to something and to see if I can fulfill that potential. So I chose. I said, okay, if I am as good as I think I am, then I should be able to make something of my mother's business. So it was there, it was accessible, and I thought, okay, let me give this a shot.
So that's how you joined your mom in the business.
Yeah.
So was it at that time as simple a decision as you're making it out to be, that I have to do something, let me give it a shot, and that's how it started?
Yeah.
Okay. I have questions on how it becomes a passion and how you are currently living that passion. Okay. I have questions on that, but I'm going to take away two important learnings over here. One, I think many a time we go through monotonous patches in our life when life is incomplete, when it seems that something is missing there, but we can't put a finger because we are so caught up with what we're doing. He's making it sound very light. You know, the team was great, the environment was great, there was alcohol-induced fun and all of that, but there was that vacuum. And if that vacuum had not been there, then the catalyst of a Paulo Coelho Alchemist book would not have worked. If the vacuum had not been there, that catalyst would not have worked. So for him particularly, that catalyst worked because there was a vacuum. So A, we got to recognize that sometimes there are vacuums in life. And B, this is really what Campbell means. That if you just follow your bliss, sometimes your bliss will not be very clear, will not be very evident. But you will know that this is not what you want to do. So as long as you're moving away from what you don't want to do, you will eventually end up with what you want to do. And that's what I've noticed in my life as well. You start scoring out options that you are not keen to follow. And then what you are to follow will come in front of you, will appear in front of you. Those are my two takeaways from what you just shared. So I'm going to go back to Kaveri, but before that we'll take a quick 2-minute break to ask our audience their midway quiz questions. So are you all ready? For the mugs, okay? Are you all ready?
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I thought you were like, hello. Okay, so there we are. These are my quiz questions. Those of you who are familiar with my, who are familiar with my pattern of quizzing, know that the questions are pretty mocha. So don't be surprised with mocha questions. But they're pretty simple and hands on the buzzer, and whoever I think answered first gets the mug. And I'd like to give the first shot to newcomers, so some of them who are new, if you could answer first, it would be great. So the first question is on Kaveri. The question is, connect Kaveri Bharat with a great Kamal Haasan movie.
Mahanadi.
Mahanadi, I'll give it to him. Okay, I'll give it to him. Yes, sir. Can you come forward, please? Mahanadi is the answer. The title character is played by title character is called Kaveri. So it is. Yes, absolutely. Thank you. What's your name? Arun Mori. Thank you. Thank you, Arun Mori. Enjoy your coffee in our Bliss Catcher mug. Thank you. Okay. So the next question. The next question is on Vidyut. Can you connect Vidyut to, if you heard me very carefully, you will establish this connection. People known to Vidyut, please don't answer. Okay. Please connect Vidyut to biogas. We'll wait. Please connect Vidyut to biogas. Chani. Okay, I'll give it to you, Ramesh. I'll give it to you. Yes, it is Chani. That's my label.
Chani got me the one.
Thank you. Okay.
There's some people are not able to understand that.
Oh, Chani. Chani is cow dung. Chani is cow dung.
No, but it's also Vidyut's name.
Vidyut. Oh, sorry. Vidyut. I introduced Vidyut, and when I introduced Vidyut, I said his label is called Chani. His brand is called Chani. Chani.in is the website on which you can order his beautiful saris. Chani is cow dung, which is one of the resources from which biogas is manufactured. So Geeta got it, but I pretended not to hear Geeta, but gave it to Ramesh. Actually, if Ramesh had not shouted the answer, I would have waited for somebody else to answer also. But no problem. Okay, no problem. We have had the two questions, and we can continue with the conversation. More mugs are on coming up when the guests ask you their questions. Okay? So in the second segment of quizzing, we'll have the guests asking you questions. Okay? Let's go back to Kaveri. So Kaveri, talk a little bit about how your exploration of the space of pottery began. You were doing small things within your circle of influence, but then you're as a seeker, you went out to gain knowledge. So you go to Mysore, you go to Pondicherry. I hear you went to Nepal. So talk a little bit about all those influences in your life.
So I would say pottery-wise, the biggest influence has been Ray and Deborah in Pondicherry, who ran the Golden Bridge Pottery. So when I went there, I mean, it is the pottery course for anyone serious to do pottery to get to. And at that point of time in the 90s, Ray was still teaching. It's just the last 3 years now that he's retired from teaching, he has older students coming to teach. But it's a very hands-on thing, and it's not for someone who's not serious about it. I applied. Usually there's a 3-year waiting period for it.
Wow.
Because he takes only 4 students at a time per year. So you apply and then you wait for your thing. Every August you have to write back in. And at that time it was all no email. It was all actually write letters and send it in saying you're still really interested, then you stay on the queue, otherwise you get bumped off the queue and move up. I was actually supposed to go in only 1998. So I was whiling away time doing more things with Padma and then coming here and trying to see what else I could do. I was learning French at the Alliance Française, and I finished my diploma and I was doing my diploma superior. And at that point of time, another potter friend, a ceramics friend from Delhi whom I got to know through Ray and Deborah when I was applying, had come to Pondicherry and it was just so happened that the only point of contacting her was through Ray's phone. So to cut a long story short, I happened to call at the right time on his landline phone, and he answered it and he said, "Aren't you the one from Chennai? You live close by." I said, "Yes." He said, "Someone has dropped out who's supposed to start the course next week. Can you pack your bags and come?"
Wow.
So naturally I just stopped whatever else I was doing. I said, "Yes, 1 week is ample time." I told them, never mind if I haven't finished my diploma superior, I don't want to finish it. And packed my bags and I moved to Pondi that year in 96, so 2 years ahead of when I should have actually gone. And I ended up with a very nice bunch of friends in that we shared an apartment, which was not a great idea because it was 4 of us who all wanted to be at work by 7:30 in the morning, sharing an apartment with only 1 bathroom. That was a bad idea. But otherwise it was a very good experience, and with Pondicherry in Golden Bridge Pottery, the thing is you don't go there just to learn pottery. It's part of it is also the camaraderie you get, and there's such a wealth of knowledge. Some people get it, some people don't, but most people, when you go there, they're willing to help you source other things, make more contacts. You're interested in it, then after one of our firings, we have a cooling day where the kiln has to cool and there's really nothing to do and you're really exhausted. So Ray said, "Okay, you're all interested a little more about the traditional crafts. You want to come on a 3-day journey. So it won't be one cooling day, 3 days later on we open your kiln. But we'll do a full Chidambaram, Damekondeswarapuram thing, full tour, and I'll take you to a pottery village as well." We said, "Sure." So we hired a van and went off for 3 days. And that's when he introduced us to a traditional potter called Palnisami, whom he worked with, and Hans has also worked with, in a village called Tuvaradimane, which is outside Pudukkottai. And spending time there, I mean, there was a good connection there. So I came back later when Ray was organizing tours for certain artists from the US, from the Anderson Ranch Art Center. So I helped conduct those tours for them, including a week at the pottery village, where they would stay in Pudukkottai and go out to the village every day, but work with him and making the INR horse, learn the techniques of it. They obviously won't be able to make a horse, but at least the way he coils it, the way he mixes the clay, the way he makes those legs and things, they learn that. So more and more that I gave access for other people to come, I started learning more about those things. And the people who organized this tour in South India, the Anderson Ranch, they also run a tour in Nepal. So since 2 years I had been conducting that tour for them. They said, "We'll get you somehow get up to Delhi and back from Delhi. The rest of it we take care of all your expenses. You come with us for our Nepal tour." So I went with them to Nepal, and there is another pottery village which is even more remote. I mean, The other tourists who were coming from the US, they flew from Kathmandu to Pokhara and then from there took a bus to the village. But I did it's a 20-hour bus journey from Kathmandu with all the groceries and everything, right across Nepal to get to the village. In the village, you have to cross 2 sections of a river which is dry. So during the wet monsoon season, basically they're cut off. There's no way else to get to that village. And there's one other village which right next door, which during the dry season moves into the riverbed. And then when the monsoon starts, they move the entire village with the houses, everything. They take it all down and move it up onto the higher ground. Then again, when it dries up, they move it back down because it's fertile and they can keep plow the field there. The entire district didn't have electricity. So they rose with the sun, slept with the sun. It must have all changed now. This was in 1999 and we saw the first electrical poles being brought in already to establish. It must be very different there now. But it was wonderful because we were there during Mahashivratri and that's big in Nepal. All night and all with lanterns. And everyone's high on bhang. That is one thing there. And the market goes on through the night. And all of this was influencing the way people work, the way they work with clay, the way they work with pottery. And working with those traditional craftsmen, I could see similarities between the Pudukkottai craftsmen and the Nepalese ones. But there were so many differences as well. And the role the women played in it. It was just a fascinating thing and it's something I want to go back to again. Unfortunately between 99 and now I've lost touch with those people. And Jim Danish, who organized these tours for Anderson Ranch, he passed away last year. So that contact is gone.
So your experience of the space itself evolved through your connections with Ray and
Deborah, their connection
and with your deep investment in this at an emotional level. I can feel it when you're talking. So what does pottery do to you? Why are you so excited about this rather, what shall I say? Don't you feel lonely sometimes?
No.
Because if there are painters, there are a lot of painters. If there are sculptors, there are a lot of sculptors. But
that
potters,
way,
there are fewer potters than other artisans.
In
right?
Chennai, yes. On one hand, you can count all the studio potters in water, you dry it in air, you put it in fire, and then you get your thing. And it's complete spiritual, it's a tactile magic. It's no other way to put it because once you get into it, I set up the vocational training center at the Spastic Society of Government. It's because even people who are prone to depression or violence, it has been shown that working with clay can calm you down, can bring, it is a medium which gives some resistance but not a lot. So you can mold it to the way you want and it's something so therapeutic just to work with it. And I don't have any mechanized things in my pottery studio, partly because of finances and partly because of a conscious effort. That I mean, now on my rooftop studio, on her insistence, I have a small fan, but otherwise I don't need electricity for anything. I use a keep wheel. I mix my clay by drying it in the sun and then slaking it in tubs of water and then mix the clay body of the China clay called clay silica, weigh it out and put it together. Which is when people don't understand, they come and say, can you do a workshop tomorrow? And I say, it takes me at least a week and a half to prepare materials for you to use for your workshop. I cannot do a workshop for you tomorrow. So it's an ongoing process. And when you're sitting there just sealing this liquid clay, your mind can wander. There's a lot of other stuff that happens in your head, creativity. Maybe someday I'll write a book, it's all in here. Someday I'll write it.
But I think from the way you're describing it, there's poetry and the spirituality both there.
Yeah.
In the way you're describing the entire process of work.
But there's a lot of science as well.
There's a lot of science.
I ran away from science very consciously. In fact, particularly chemistry. I enjoyed physics. It made sense to me. I loved biology. But the reason I did not ever want to do science was because I hated chemistry. But I find now I conduct courses and I teach glaze chemistry. You have to have an understanding of thermal physics to be able to build or fire a kiln. There is no way around
so
that.
So there is science there?
Oh, there's a lot of science. That's the difference. I mean, a painter no longer mixes their own paints. They no longer sit and weave their own canvases or do that. But a potter is still making their own tools, making their equipment, making their materials. You're doing all of that and The glazes are formulated. I mean, you do either a triaxial blend or you actually go down to the molecular breakup of your materials and you calculate what you need and you do. So the glazes are extremely precise. I can tell you in each of those pots there what is providing the color, what is the glaze. You have to know your materials, more so in India than anywhere. In the US, you still have enough hobby potters for there to be an industry that you can go and say, I want a blue glaze that melts at this temperature, and I want a clay body that will fire to this, and I want a kiln that does it, and they'll all supply it from the shop, which you cannot do here.
So the joy comes from the confluence of science and spirituality and art,
Yes.
right? That's where the joy lies.
Yeah, I suppose that's what spirituality is. I mean,
Yes.
I'm not an extremely spiritual person per se, but the joy of working with my hands, taking that joy to others, and it's art that gets most intimate because you buy a painting, you put it on a wall. But if you buy a coffee mug, you're putting it in your mouth,
Right.
you're putting it, you're washing it every day. It's my art, you have to deal with it every day. You can't put it in a corner and forget about it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'll now go to Vidyut. I'm picking up some learnings, but I'll wait for Vidyut's story to unfold and then tie it all up together. Vidyut, my question for you. So you go join your mom, and when does it become this interest in a business? When does it become an artful passion for you? How did that happen? And why do you call your company Pasara? Why do you call your grandchild?
So in school and college, instead of taking notes, I used to draw lines. Just these, for lack of a better expression, phrase, geometric patterns that would just repeat itself. So my notebooks were full of these lines rather than any meaningful notes in class. So it just, when I actually tried out those lines and made a block and saw it printed on fabric, and that sari sold, I was thought, hey, maybe I can do this for a living. And so I continued to draw patterns, and I still do. And I still sell. I'm still in business.
That's how it started.
Yeah, that's how it started. But what retains my interest is
That's the bigger question. What retains your interest?
so.
Because if you take your career after college, this has been your longest stint.
Yeah.
As an entrepreneur and as a designer,
Yeah.
it's been your longest stint, right? With anything that you've done.
Yeah.
So there is obviously something that's holding you back and keeping you excited. What is it?
Mostly it's the seeing my designs executed, and when somebody wears it and tells me it's a beautiful saree, yeah, that's where I get.
He's very lucky because he's got his wife modeling for him every day. If you are on his Facebook page, you will see her every day in a new creation of Vidyut's. And
Best return.
best return you could get.
See,
That's Jayashree Vidyut's wife.
so I asked her to marry me 3 days after meeting her. So I made sure that she got to see all my saris and that she would have a lifetime supply of saris if she ever to stay with me. So when you are sitting and drawing lines, drawing a geometric pattern, I sometimes just don't realize time passing. Time is at a standstill for me. I'm just drawing those lines. I use a graph paper to draw the thickness to make sure that I have uniform thickness of lining and stuff. So I will start drawing, and then when I look up, 3.5 hours would have passed, and so that's what keeps me interested. When I'm anxious or when I'm worried, I pick up a sheet of paper and start drawing lines, and I feel calmer. That's what keeps me.
He said something very, 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 very profound. When I'm drawing lines, I don't notice time pass. When I'm worried, when I'm anxious and I draw, I get calm. I become calm. She says there is a blend, confluence of art and science, and that's my spirituality. This is bliss. Joseph Campbell says this very, very beautifully. He says that do what makes you happy. Do what makes you deeply happy. do what makes you calmly happy and don't worry about what the world is saying or doing. The more you do it, the more you will be following your bliss. That's his definition of how to follow your bliss. You didn't answer my earlier question on why did you name your brand so? When your company is called Kasara and your brand is called, the label is called Chani, so why did you name them so?
In 2005, I set up my own company, and I decided to set my block printing up unit up in a town called Taramangalam near Salem. In a town called Taramangalam near Salem. I was working with 13 handloom weavers and one block printing husband and wife team. So the weavers would provide the fabric, it would get printed there, and I would sell it as a Taramangalam sari. So at the time, there was no, the 13 weavers didn't have cooking gas at home, they were using only cow dung. So I thought, I should call my label Chani. Part of the reason was I wanted to share the profits, part of the profits at least with the weavers, but that hasn't happened yet. I have to make some profits first. Tasara is a Sanskrit word, Tasara, which is the shuttle which is used in the handloom for weaving. So it seemed like an obvious choice to me.
That's interesting. That's interesting. I'm going to ask you a question and then ask Kaveri as almost a related question. I'm picking on you instead of going to Kaveri because I heard you just say that your intention is to share your profits with the viewers, but then you are not making your profits yourself or not dropping the tune that you would like to make them. How does a creative person like you, who loses himself in the geometry of life, okay, how do you find yourself dealing with the pulls and pressures of being an entrepreneur? Checks and balances of an Excel sheet, cash flows, receivables, don't they all bother you? Don't they sap you of your creative energy?
They do, but that's what I learned in advertising, right? So I was in client servicing for almost 8 years. So this is what I had to do, and so I've spent a lot of time training myself to do that, making sure that your billings are up to the mark, that your products are being sold at a profit, things are done on time. The time has to be, time sheets are filled, that your time is measured correctly. So that's where the advertising training has actually helped me in running a business. But yeah, and yes, if you take a loan, you will have to pay your EMIs, so you have to make a profit every month.
So there are those pressures, but you deal with them because of your professional training.
Yeah, so that's truly helped.
That's truly helped.
Yeah.
Have you at any point in time ever considered that, given the fact that although you might be very, very creative, have you ever considered that this is not the line that I should be in?
Have I ever thought
that this textiles and being in textiles and doing this business is not something that I should be in?
Of course, I'm an actor, and if I got an opportunity to act, I'll drop everything and go and act.
You would do that?
Yes, absolutely.
You would do that, okay.
Without a second thought.
So that brings me to another question: Why are you not acting as much as you should be acting, if you truly believe it?
Because I want to write my own scripts. I want to stage my own plays.
So then I have a question for you, but I'm going to come back to you for that. But let's, on the note of the entrepreneurial side, how much of Kaveri Bharat's business or work is actually business? Do you see a business model there? Have you tapped a business model?
I don't have an advertising background.
Okay.
I don't have any business background. I'm hopeless at it, and I wish there was a business angle to it. And this is my only source of income. But no, I'm not making a profit. I'm not making an income as of now. I'm still trying to figure out the way to make it balance. Teaching does help. Selling helps. I have more orders than I can fill, and I'm making something that doesn't quite stick it. I won't say I have arrived anywhere. It's a journey, it's still going on. And financially, if someone could sit and figure out how I would make this work, I'd be happy to hire them. But yeah, I need to employ people to do the more menial jobs so that I can do more creative things. But I need to be making money to be able to pay the people who I employ. So it's a complete catch-22 situation, and how am I making it work? I'm not. So as of now, I'm still struggling. I'm yet to figure it out. So maybe.
And have you ever thought of going and doing something else for making that income come in?
I've not just thought. I have tried. But ultimately, my legs turned back to this. I mean, but for 3 years I was teaching in a school because at least a monthly check comes in. But then I can't do that beyond a point. I would love to teach, but the whole correction work and that eats into my time at the pottery. It eats into my play time. That's not something I want to give up. I have tried working for a research firm which was doing evaluation of education system and stuff like that. I did that, I finished that project, didn't want to take up the next because that was taking away from this. I joined an NGO and I was trying to make ends meet with the check, but doing very interesting. I mean, it was extremely interesting working with adolescent girls, working with health communication through arts, through crafts. So I thought, at least I'm finding a connect here. But ultimately, I need to be back in my pottery. I need to be working with clay. I need to be building kilns and firing kilns, and I need to have that in me. And if that time keeps getting cut into, I'm even more miserable. So I have to make this work. There is no two ways about it.
I think that definitely deserves a round of applause. Definitely, look at the words she used. I keep getting, my legs keep drawing me back to what I'm doing with pottery. I try multiple things, I'm trying to make other things work, but they don't work, and I'd like to make this work. I think I was talking to my dear friend Vinod at the rear a little while ago. We all go through this. When we went through we are going through this phase, but when we were a lot more unclear about is this what we want to do for the rest of our life, we've gone through those moments as well. So I can completely relate to that. When you try for a job, when you try, if you can try a new line of business, but then you're unhappy. And if you're unhappy doing what you're doing, then what is the point of living this life? You're already dealing, in our case, we were already dealing with a crisis. So I can completely relate to you, Kaveri. But does that make you a very courageous person? Or does it make you a person who is very convinced about what gives you joy?
I don't think it makes me either of those. It just makes me me. I don't know. I'm just plodding along. Once I have arrived somewhere, I can look back and say, oh, this was courageous, or that was stupid, or something else. But right now, I'm still in the journey. I can't really label myself.
And the journey, ladies and gentlemen, is the reward. There is no reward. There is no arriving. The journey is the reward. And it's the highs and the lows of this journey which make life exciting. If you thought that the lows are not what you want, but if you actually examine her life or my life or Vidyut's life, in the lows there is a lot of pain, but there is also undiluted joy. And the pain gets washed away with that joy. You wake up early in the morning again saying, let me try this all over again, and it's going to work better. So I have a question for you on that. Do you at some point believe that you say that 90% of your creative talent is still untouched? So you want to script, you want to act, you probably want to be only doing the creative part of the Chani work and not the business part of it, running the nuts and bolts of it. How do you suppose this? Do you have a plan? Do you have a method? Because you've never had a plan all your life, it's all happened. So how are you dealing with this untapped 90% of Vidyut Srinivasan still?
So most of my life decisions are governed by the loans I've taken. So once the loans are over, then I close one chapter and move on to the next chapter. So I have one more loan pending. That will get done in about 3 or 4 years. So once that is done, then I'll evaluate whether I want to run this business or not, if I just want to plunge myself into writing and acting. I'll do that.
And you'll take it along as it comes. Do you ever get do you ever deal with real world issues like insecurity, fear, worry, and things like that? or is Vidit Srinivasan really that, look at it, no? He's like, Macha, this happened, I did this like this, I did this like this. You're like going with the flow, so you're a very unique creation.
I'll also tell you this, about almost a decade ago, I was running on a treadmill in the gym. There was one more person running in the gym next to me. So then we were told we were occupying the treadmills for too long, that we should try to run on the road. And so we saw one more person running on the road, and 3 of us started running every week, and that's how we started Chennai Runners. So Chennai Runners, one of the 3 co-founders of Chennai Runners. Now we organize one marathon every year and all that. So
that's how it happens.
Yeah,
that's how it happens. Tell me one thing, I'm very curious. If you look at all his saris, all his creations.
So it is more than 1 hour since you have spoken, and not a word about Rumi.
It has to flow. It has to flow. Thank you. Thank you for pointing that out. That is for the uninitiated. There is normally a Rumi quote which comes. It has to flow. It hasn't come so far. So, one question: if you look at all of Vidyut's creations, there is a lot of geometry in them. Is there any reason why there is so much geometry in your creation?
I'm not a trained artist. I can't draw curves. I can only draw straight lines.
These are his saris. Aren't curves also geometry?
Yeah. So they're all geometry, but I can't draw curves freehand. And
Can you draw lines? Straight lines?
No, one second. Ati, we haven't come to the Q&A, yes. Please.
no, I can't draw a straight line either. Which is why I use a graph paper.
So, any reason why you see geometry in everything around you? We were talking a little while ago, and you were talking about how you see geometry in everything. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So some of the designs that I've come up with are from leaves that have fallen on the ground, or twigs, dried twigs that I've seen on the floor, pothole, manhole covers. And I try to see how I can replicate it, but I'm not an artist, so I have to like logically break it down and say, okay, if I have to put this here, and then I don't want the same symmetry, same direction of this line in another place, so I will rotate that line, change the thickness, but still you can't escape. Hand block printing is a symmetrical process. You have to work with your basic unit of design is 6 by 6 inch wooden block, which gets repeated, so there's no escaping the geometry of the medium. So
that's how you focus on it. But it's a fantastic offering that you have out there. All the stuff that I've seen, I keep seeing on your Facebook page, and what I'm seeing right here. So here, let me ask Kaveri and Vidyut a quick question, and then I'll come to you. All of you can ask your questions to Kaveri and Vidyut. Kaveri, your idea of life and happiness, how much has it evolved with your pottery experience?
What I live day to day is my life. So my life is constantly evolving with me. So I don't know how to quantify it. I've been very intrigued the way he says 10% and 90% because I don't know how to judge how much percentage of my creativity is going into what, and clearly that's not something I must have hidden behind the door when that was taught, how to do that. But I know that there must be some other more potential. The fact that I'm still creating and I'm coming up with new shapes, there must be something more. And clay is a medium in which I'm using it. And one other thing is that among all the creative arts, it's something that I find clay, one is that it's tactile, and I also find that clay artists, the camaraderie that I get wherever we go, even if it's a person you don't know at all, it's something that enhances your life. Because I think it's probably the group of artists, I don't know what this whole camaraderie is. I can go to some remote part of the world and tell another potter, oh, I'm also a potter, and their house will be open to me, their kitchen will be open to me, I'll be there for views. It's a sort of like, I suppose it's such a frustrating medium that you feel, gosh, you're in it with me, come, kind of thing, because the sharing that happens, and I don't know how many artist groups across the country have WhatsApp groups, but there are close to 300 potters on our potters WhatsApp group across the country, and it's from all over, and it's constantly active. And it's not that we're only showing off works. We're sharing recipes. We're saying, look, I did this. This is how I did it, and this is the technique I used. There's not a secret. It's not like my secret technique, I discovered it, because it's going to take a lifetime for everyone to discover, learn from each other's mistake kind of camaraderie, which happens among potters, which I haven't found happening among other artist groups. That kind of sharing that happens. And all of this is part of my learning and part of my growing and part of my bliss, I suppose, the way you say it. So I can't evaluate how much of my life is on this and how much more I have to go on any of those things. It's a constant process.
What about you? Your life and your idea of happiness, what gives you happiness? Has it evolved with the years, with this process of running Chani and Pasara?
I've realized that pursuit of happiness is futile exercise. So, because it's fleeting, so you will have happy moments, but those moments can't be replicated. You will find other moments that make you happy. So it is possible to be at peace, to be calm, to find clarity every day. And yoga helps me do that, and my work helps me do that.
That is the happiness. I think the pursuit of happiness is a very dangerous phrase. The movie makers did clear injustice by promoting that title. It was a fantastic film, but that's not what they intended communicating. Happiness is in the now, in the moment, despite the imperfections. And that's my belief too, that you find it in the now, despite the imperfections. And you attain it the moment you understand that worrying is a waste, getting frustrated is a waste, and suffering serves no purpose. Once you understand this, happiness is all yours. Fantastic talking to you both. I'm going to come back to you for your quiz questions, but now let's go to the audience. And I'm timing this, so when I do say we are out of time, I will have to stop the questions. Please keep it to questions. Keep your comments and thoughts on either of their work or about them offline, but do ask them questions, and we can start with anyone.
This, I find you consistently self-deprecating. Now, one associate Bliss catchers often with the word passion, but you are consistently denying passion. Now, this passion, it's passion that leads to quality, isn't it? So, are you denying a passion that exists?
Good question.
I'm doing things that make me happy, that make me calm, that make me peaceful, and I was lucky enough to discover when I was very young that running made me very happy. So when I run, I was lucky enough to discover that drawing lines makes me happy. So I still draw lines. I was lucky enough to discover that acting and being on stage makes me happy. And I try to. I haven't done it for 3 years now, but my heart is still there. Yes, so I only intend spending my time doing those things that make me happy. Whether it has other rewards like recognition, money, fame, I don't know. Those are not, do not form part of my consideration. So the question of passion is passion. You may run out of passion for something, but doing this every day, if it makes me feel happy, then I will do it every day. And if it stops making me happy, I'll stop it and do something else.
Thus spake a Bliss catcher. Absolutely. That was the most brilliant answer of the evening, and truly touched my heart. And thank you, Modi, for asking that question. Next, please. Who's got a question? No one is
How do you keep smiling all the time? What is the secret behind it?
How do you keep smiling all the time?
I don't know, I'm nervous. So it's more, it's a nervous smile than anything else. If you ask my wife and my mom used to call me sad face when I was young.
I think she
No, actually not. I'm quite prone to anger, but yoga has helped me calm down a lot.
Ramesh?
Kaveri, you had mentioned at the time of introduction some word, solo kill, two other persons.
Soda kill.
Soda kill.
Oh, what does it mean?
So I think I have a related question for Kaveri, so maybe you could take a couple of minutes, answer that question, and in addition, just give people an overview of the pottery space. What's the
kiln?
What's the kiln and what's the wheel?
Okay, so there are different ways. Pottery in clay work and everything has to be fired in order for it to no longer be clay. It changes state. And the way we fire it, electric, basically it's a radiant heat, like your electric oven. So it's going to radiate heat and make sure that the glaze melts and that the pot is vitrified. And you're done. Or if it's terracotta, it doesn't have to be vitrified, it just has to change state to a fired piece. With a burning fuel, what happens is there is a flame which moves. It's not radiant heat, it is an actual flame that moves through and heats up the pot. So that influences the direction from which the heat comes, the way the glaze melts and everything. Even more influential on that is the wood firing process. Because wood, along with the flame, there is wood ash, which very fine wood ash which flies through the kiln along with the flame, and that falls on the pot. And at the temperatures at which my glaze melts, the wood ash which is falling on the pot is also melting. So that forms, so the side that faces the direction of the flame will get more wood ash deposits on it than the others. So even without putting a glaze on the pot, it will get patterns on it decorated by the wood fire. Now soda is called an atmosphere firing. Now all these things where you have wood or soda thing is called atmosphere. If I don't want to put a glaze on a pot because that hides any marks on the clay, I can do an atmosphere firing by adding either salt or soda. When I say soda, I'm not talking about the bottled soda, I'm talking about washing soda. So that's NaOH. So when I put that, what happens is the sodium, clay consists of silica. I'm sorry if it's getting too chemical. But clay consists of alumina and silica. And the silica in it reacts with the sodium from either the salt, which is NaCl, or the soda, which is NaOH. And the sodium silicate forms, which is again glossy and on the surface. But any mark I've left on the pot will show. So that sodium silicate coating is called either a soda firing or a salt firing. So what I've built is a wood-fired soda kiln. So what I do is I use wood to fire it, and at the maturation temperature I chuck soda in, which reacts with the silica in the clay and forms the... Sorry, that was so technical.
That's being somebody who never wanted chemistry, who never wanted, and that's life for you. That's life for you. What Rumi, what you are seeking is seeking you. You know. So you in a way you feel that you don't want this, but you're seeking pottery.
I tried to keep it very untechnical. That's all.
No, but it was beautiful. You know. And you didn't do science. I can't believe it. You know. I'm hearing NaOH after I flunked chemistry in school for the first time.
Oh, there's a lot more. If you want to come and work in a glaze lab.
I will. Yes, somebody, I saw a hand go up. Yes.
How did you get the crowdfunding done for that soda? How did you get the crowdfunding done for that
okay.
soda?
Good question. Good question.
That was just the most gutsy thing I think I've ever done. Because I'm not good at asking people for money. It's one of the reasons why business fails. I even tried starting a shop, and people used to come and say, "What a lovely pot," and I'll say, oh, "That would be a good home for my pot." So okay, 50% discount. I wouldn't even make cost. It was not a good way to run a business. Within a year, I had to close that shop down. I've realized now that I make it, someone else has to sell it. That's the only way it's going to ever work. But the crowdfunding was something because I really wanted a wood-fired kiln which I could not have in the city. And it came at a time where friends of mine, the Putnanis who have a farm, the restaurant on the OMR, they were keen to have a potter working there. So actually they offered me space to build a wood-fired kiln. And they said, you can go ahead and build it here. And I built a small one which could fire terracotta. With red bricks I built it. And I was doing some workshops. I really wanted, after years and years of building kilns for other organizations, other institutions, everything was to build myself a good, proper soda kiln which was wood fired. But that cost a lot of money because the bricks involved are all high temperature bricks and the materials needed. Even though I was not going to hire people to build it for me, but I was going to build it completely with my own two hands, everything else came up to quite a bit, including the kiln shed to support it. It all came to about 4 lakhs. I was not going to go, where was I going to go for that? So that's when someone told me about this crowdfunding thing. I went online, I sourced through it. I said, this is probably the only thing I can do. And at that point of time, this particular platform, Wishberry, didn't have an all or nothing deal. Even if you raised only half the amount, you still got to keep it. While my campaign was going on, they changed that policy, but they said since you have started before, it will. So it was a 45-day campaign. You have to make a little video, which was helped by a cousin of mine who had just moved to Madras and she's a filmmaker and she didn't have anything to do then. I asked her as a favor. So on a little camera, she did a video of me talking about my project. Then you have to go in and fill in what your costs are going to be, give a breakdown. Because people who are investing in it need to know where all their money is going and offer rewards. And I must say, I'm guilty to say that a lot of the rewards, the farm rewards have been given, the pot rewards, still haven't been happy with what has come out of the kiln. I haven't even given some of those rewards. But depending on how much you gave, you could either get a medallion or a cup or whatever. You set it all up, and I ran a 45-day campaign where my personality change happened from going and giving things away for free. I actually shamelessly asked people for money. I know it was towards something, I wasn't just asking for it for free, but it was an experience and I don't think I'll ever repeat it again, but I did, and I did raise both the 4 lakhs plus the commission to Wishberry, the entire thing, and I in fact overshot it by almost 10,000 rupees, which I was very thrilled about. And I have built the kiln. It's taken me a long time, brick by brick, cutting it with a angle grinder, sitting there, sun, rain, as I was telling somebody else. The problems you have on a farm, which is where I'm building it. Suddenly the electrical cord got cut because the buffalo had pulled out the plug point. So these are things that happen on a farm and nowhere else. But it took me a year and a half to build it. And over the course of all of 2016, twice I managed to fire the kiln, but each time I found there was something wrong and I had to change something in the kiln design. Ray Meeker came and saw the last firing I unloaded, and he said it takes you 13 firings to learn a kiln. In 2 firings now you figured out what's wrong with your kiln, you're on a good start. So, a firing means about 18 to 20 hours of stoking the wood and standing there and monitoring the firing and everything, which is why it takes you a day to load, a day to fire, 1 day to cool, and then 1 day to unload. That's a 4-day cycle each time you fire. Wood firing is the toughest because it has splinters, you have to chop wood, you have to split wood, you have to stack it. You can't let your energy go down for those 18 to 20 hours. Your attention has to be completely there, you need a team to do it. But that's part of the attraction of wood over electric thing where you set it, you sit and read a book.
Fantastic. We'll have time for just one last question. One last question, and it has to be a short answer. Okay?
Good evening, sir. So your creativity on more on geometrical shapes. So what is the contribution to the physically challenged people, especially for the employment or for any manufacturing for the particular people?
I have not done anything for physically challenged people so far. I have not gone out seeking that or looking for that. But if I do, if there are opportunities to do that, I'm happy to help. Physically challenged people can do block printing. I mean, they have use of their hands and their eyes. They can do hand block printing. But I have not explored that aspect at all.
Okay, we'll take one more question from you, sir. You had a question. We'll take one last question and a short answer, please.
Creativity is good. It sustains you. But to propel you further, you need innovation. I haven't heard anything about how innovative you have been. Would that help? Because it is connected to the rewards that we have been talking. You have not been very successful about what you say. So probably it is that might probably drive you towards.
Is there a question?
No, I think it's more a comment. It's more a comment. So, do you want to answer?
Yeah. Well, when I say I haven't turned a profit, actually I'm not being entirely honest. My saris sell because they are different. If they were not different, if they were run of the mill, nobody would be buying it. So I've been doing it for 12 years, and for me the proof is in the pudding. When people buy it, I know it's different.
Okay, we'll now go to the quiz segment quickly and wrap this up. So please stay with us. We are a little behind time, but I will wrap this up at 8:30 if you all cooperate with me. Quickly, your quiz question, Kaveri.
Okay.
Kaveri's quiz question to you, and you win a mug.
Yeah, I just want a caveat. My children shouldn't answer this.
Your husband answer?
No. Okay, husband and children don't answer this. A fired ceramic piece. This is a multiple choice question. A fired ceramic piece is only one of these things. Which one is it? Toxic, biodegradable, eco-friendly, totally recyclable.
Eco-friendly.
She's actually right.
She is right? Okay.
It is not biodegradable and it's not completely, I mean, once you break a mug, you can't, recycle it really. So.
You need to do this. See, Vidyut being the cool cat that he is, he came completely from the time we said you had to come with a quiz question, he kept protesting, he kept resisting. And he came and drew a blank. Where did I think? Oh, I left my quiz question there. So, he drew a blank, and so I'm going to ask the quiz question on his behalf. This question has got two parts, and whoever answers each part gets the mug. Anybody can go. Chennai gains an event in 2018, and Chennai loses an event in 2018. Which events am I talking about? Chennai Open is right, so you get a mug. Atirupa gets a mug for Chennai Open. We lost Chennai Open in 2018. We don't have a Chennai Open for the first time. But we gained something. We gained back something. IPL, absolutely right. Which one? What about IPL? Give me the full answer.
Srinivasan, that.
Madam, you remember Srinivasan, but not Chennai Super Kings. Okay, we will give it to Atirupa and to this is Dr. Chari. Okay, so Vidyut on your behalf. Atirupa can give it. Yeah. Here. Thank you. See, I saved you. You buy me a drink. Okay? Okay, so on behalf of Team Odyssey, quickly we give away our prized Bliss Catcher trophies. Ashwin is there?
Ashwin is here.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me present to you the man because of whom all this happens. And he slinks away quietly in the corner every time, but we bring him center stage at this moment. Welcome back, sir. So they get a Hazel journal. Hazel are our gifting partners, and they get the coveted Bliss Catcher trophy. Thank you, Ashwin. Thank you so much for making this happen every month. So I'm going to do a quick wrap and close today's event. It's been fascinating talking to both of them. I will tell you that this conversation every month for 11 months in a year keeps me and Vani totally charged. We are so excited meeting interesting people in the cool Vidyut Srinivasan and in the completely, to me, spiritual Kaveri Bharat. I found great value in today's conversation, great takeaways. But what I am going to talk about has got more to do with Vidyut than with Kaveri, but I'm meaning pretty much the same thing for both of you, which is Rumi says that stop weaving and watch the pattern improve. So all of us try to control our lives, think that we are the masters of our life, and try to live our lives in the way in which we have been conditioned to live them. And then if you actually go with the flow, which is really what Vidyut has been doing, which is really what Kaveri has been doing, very intuitively you go with the flow, the pattern really improves. So stop weaving and watch the pattern improve. That's what I take away today from today's conversation. Thank you so much. We will see you in January, on the 27th of January now, for season 4. And we have 2 great people joining us. We have the actor Amitash Pradhan, one of the young stars in the cinema field, who is an engineer but chose acting. And we have a very young violinist, Shravan Sridhar. The 2 of them are joining us on Jan 27th. We don't have an edition in December, that's our break month. And then we are curating right now for April 2018 already. So this is a fabulous season 4 that awaits you. We have some very interesting people in the pipeline. Do stay in touch, and if all of you loved today's conversation and would love to follow me, please follow me on my app, AVIS Viswanathan, that's the name at the back. You can download it on Google Play and on the App Store. I share life lessons daily there, talking about what I've learned from life from people around me. Thank you so much. Good evening to all of you, and have a great evening.